This meeting is being recorded.
God, that woman still freaks me out. This meeting is being recorded. Welcome to Peer Supervision. It's so lovely to see all of your faces from all different classes, some graduates and some people who we know very well, and some tutors as well. So a real lovely mixed bag of people come in tonight. And I am delighted to be able to welcome Zoe to come and sort of share her wisdom and her knowledge with us this evening. I think what really stood out for me when I met Zoe was the fact that she's a clinical hypnotherapist is great. She really kind of speaks my language. But when Zoe started her business, I think I'm going to get this right, Zoe, but well, you had something like 700 quid in your bank account or 750 quid in your bank account. That was all you had in the world. And you couldn't even afford to hire anywhere. So you built a therapy room with pallets or something and you literally made do and got on with it, and you set up a business, and you and I both share a passion for really helping people. And I really feel like you've recognized that hypnotherapists are amazing therapists and brilliant helping people in the therapeutic kind of world, but when it comes to technological stuff, there's a real mixed bag. Some of us are really comfortable with technology and we love it and we embrace it, and others we're absolutely terrified by it. I discovered the power of AI over the last couple of weeks, and I have been using it to help me write all sorts of things. And I have been having so much fun with it. Like, I've been saying things like, if Adolf Hitler and Jesus Christ had a conversation about compassion, wonder what they would say. And it comes back with, this never actually happened, but if it did, this is the sort of thing they would have. I would be like, this is amazing. It's really entertaining me, as well as it being quite helpful when I'm feeling a little bit like, what am I going to write social media wise, and how am I going to keep creating this content? And although I've been called a content machine because I love the creative writing side of what we do, sometimes I get a little bit like, and you know, run out of steam a little bit. And I found these little things, these little gems of useful bits of information really, really helpful. And I know that Zoe gets really excited about technology. So I'm going to just unspotlight myself and just hand it over to you, if that's all right, Zoe.
That's absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. I'm interested in what the sunshine's doing here. I've never had this kind of thing before. Anyway, technology, kind of love it and hate it all at the same time. Hi, everybody. So I'd kind of love, bring up, I know, who was it? I don't, that was on their phone. I don't know whether on your phone will work, but for those of you that are not and can, bring up your chat box. Let me know in chat kind of, where are you in your hypnotherapy journey? Are you still studying with these guys? Are you kind of just qualified? Have you been doing it a while? Like, let me know. And then the examples that I use and what I talk about can kind of be relevant to where you're at and what you might need. So I'm going to tell you quite a bit about kind of my journey with it all and what happened to me. I'm also going to kind of talk about the 4 kind of big mistakes that I made, but also I see everyone else making, so that we can avoid them, and so show you some of the resources that I've created that you can by all means have and learn from and help, and hopefully have a really good chat as well. So in terms of questions, depending on how you work, Fab, I'm looking at these, you can either put a question in chat, because sometimes people, like, questions come up and you think, if I can't, I've got to get it out of my head now, otherwise I'm going to forget. So if you're one of those people, stick it in the chat box and I will keep an eye on it, and I'll bring the question in and kind of bring you off mute if that works. If not, there is some time at the end for questions. So if you're the kind of person that likes to sit back, reflect, and then think of questions, then there is some time at the end as well. But I'm hoping that I can kind of answer quite a few of your questions as we go along and bring you into it and make this a really fun and exciting time. Amanda, can you just make it so I can screen share, please? If that's okay with you. A little presentation. Fab, thank you. So I called this business building mistakes and how to avoid them. So a little bit of my background and kind of what happened to me. So in 2011, I was in a corporate job. I'd had enough, and I walked into my manager's office and basically told them to stick it, because I couldn't do it anymore, for various reasons. And over the time, the last few years of my professional life, I'd been qualifying in all sorts of things. So I'd qualified as an NLP practitioner. I'd qualified with hypnotherapy. I'd qualified as a stress coach. And I thought, I've got all these things that can really make a difference in the world. And yet I'm sat here making a fat cat fatter. And that really doesn't kind of float my boat anymore. So I'm off. At the time, as Amanda mentioned, I had £750 at the time. And I thought, well, what the hell? I can make this work. People called me brave, naive, stupid, all the things that they could. But I just thought, I've got to see if I can make it work. So I set up my hypnotherapy business. And at the time, you got a niche, right? Everyone was like, niche, you've got a niche. And in order to be successful, you've got a niche. So I picked a niche. So I set up the Wedding Karma, and I went into all these wedding fairs doing weight loss, speaking nerves, and those sorts of things for the wedding industry. I will come back to why that is relevant in a little while. It took me 6 months to get my first client. And the amount of time and effort that I was putting into it just felt so, I don't know, depressing. I just kept going and kept going and kept going and kept going, and no clients came, which I always think is an important thing to say. And then after 18 months, I finally thought, okay, maybe my idea sucks. So that was the first sort of pivot that I did. And I pivoted by looking out to everyone else and saying, what do people do? And I pivoted into Zoe the hypnotherapist. And I went out into the world of Zoe the hypnotherapist and the usual kind of one-to-one service stuff. But then over time, there was something that was always prevalent in my business. And that was my corporate background was as an e-learning specialist. So I spent years designing and delivering training courses, and particularly specializing in e-learning. It was very much at its early stages in that time. But I always had this interest in the power of learning online. So part of my hypnotherapy business, I was always doing things like an online course or a PDF download or all these kinds of things. And one of the things that I'll share as well is that a lot of the times, what is your thing? You don't really know, because to you, it's just obvious and it's easy. So all of that time, quite a lot of my hypnotherapy friends were like, how on earth do you do this stuff? And I was like, well, it's easy, really. They were like, no, that's easy to you. So I started doing the odd kind of blogging for therapists workshop, or, just kind of going out to my friends and saying, my hypno friends or my work friends, and saying, hey, if you want to learn how to do this stuff, then come along and I'll teach you. And then it started getting a bit silly. And then in sort of 2020, just before lockdown, so many people had said to me, oh my God, Zoe, like, your brilliance is this technological world is just, we don't get it, and you do, and you get it so easy. So I'd been badgered enough, really, that I set up Build It Brilliant in 2020. So I'll go through what that's all about as I go through this. But that's kind of, in a nutshell, what my journey has been. I now run 2 businesses. So my therapy business still exists because I love it. And the smile, the ha-ha moments, there's moments when somebody just uncovers something, they get something, is just magic. So I still do my therapy work, but now I only do corporate workshops. So I do a range of wellbeing workshops for the corporate world in one business, and then I do Build It Brilliant in the other. So in a nutshell, that's kind of my business journey. But why build it brilliant? Why, you know, people say like you do something because it's your why, because you're passionate about it, because you're just like, oh my God, I've got to make this kind of difference in the world. And it was this moment that really made me kind of stand up and take notice. I was at a hypnotherapy conference, I can't remember which one it was, and somebody said this, that 3 out of 5 therapy businesses fail. And yet to me, there's millions of people suffering. We have epidemic levels of stress, anxiety, pain, substance abuse, smoking, like all of these things are actually on the increase, epidemics of mental health and depression and all these things. So literally around the world, there are millions of people suffering. And equally, we have, particularly in the UK, we have an NHS which is busting at the seams and cannot cope with the demand of the need. So we've got on one hand this system that there is so many people that literally the system cannot cope and has got waiting lists that are years for these services. And yet 3 out of 5 therapy businesses fail. And that kind of crushed my heart, because I was just like, people need us. And we have such a skill and such a qualification that what the hell is happening? And then the guy who was, I can't even remember who said it. And then the guy said this: the top 2 reasons why people say that they can't make the business work is 1, burnout, and 2, like the unable to make the business side of things work, like the finances. So we are people pleasing, lovely people, but they couldn't make the kind of business of finance and earning money and earning a living from it work. So that to me was that kind of wake-up call. That to me was that moment that I went, oh my God, what I know, I need to do something with this, and I need to change that, because I need to get you guys out there to help these people, and also help yourself, because you're amazing, you're great, and you deserve to have a successful business that affords your life. So as well as kind of my hypnotherapy journey, I've also been a clinical supervisor for 3 years, which I've absolutely loved. And time and time again, I see people doing the exact same things when it comes to building their business. So today I'll be sharing with you the biggest things, the biggest mistakes that I see time and time and time and time again. This is like what most people do, and why it doesn't work, and then how you can avoid them, or how you can do it better. And technology is a solution in order to do it better. So this is what most people do, including myself. For many years, I did exactly the same thing. So those of you that are at the beginning of your journey, you're still studying, you're just qualified, like you are in a perfect place to learn this, because I so wish that somebody would have gone through this with me when I was back then, because nobody really did. So this is what we start off with. We generally qualify and then go, okay, what's everybody doing? And the general consensus of what we do is you have a free consultation with me, and then you come to me for one-to-one services. That's pretty much industry standard. That's what we do. And the way that we do that is we then go out to the world, and then we say, do you want this? How about this? Can I help you with this? Can I help you with weight loss? Can I help you with smoking? Can I help you with anxiety? Can I help you with stress? Do you want this service, this help? If so, book a free consultation with me, and let's have some one-to-one services. Then some marketing genius tells you that you should be doing freebies and helping people to, giving something away for free. So you start creating freebies. And you think, right, I'll do a little mini guide to whatever subject it is. I'll give it away for free. And then somebody says, you know, about networking. So you go out to networking, you pluck up the courage to stand in front of a room of random people and you go, I've got this freebie, download this freebie. And after the freebie, then book in my free consultation and then we'll have some one-to-one services. Then somebody, genius, says community. What you need to do is build community. So you go, okay, I'll start a Facebook group. So you start a Facebook group on, I've seen so many, on depression. Let's all get together. People who are depressed, let's come and join my Facebook group. So you start running a group. And then after that, you go, okay, actually, I could see more people if my services were online. So at this point, you've kind of had a few clients, you've probably had a few successful clients, and you go, right, what I'll do now is I'll learn how to use Zoom and I'll offer the services online because then I can help more people. And by the way, everything that I do with my clients is amazing. So what I'll do is I'll dump all of that into an online course. So I take what I'm doing in my one-to-one world and I develop that into this coaching online course kind of thing. Then somebody says to you, oh, webinar. What you should do is you should do a webinar. So then you go, right, okay, what I'll do is I'll offer a free webinar and to my Facebook group, I'll do a webinar, then they do the online course and the freebie and the Facebook group, and then they get a free consultation and then they come to me for my one-to-one services. Right, that's what I'll do. And then somebody says, awareness days. Have you heard of awareness days? Like we'll do, have you heard of like mental health awareness days? So what we'll do is we'll do like an online challenge for mental health awareness days with a freebie, with a webinar, to my Facebook group, to my free consultation, to my one-to-one services. That's what we'll do. Now, this becomes, honestly, I was there, I was doing it all. It's ridiculous. It becomes, number one, system overwhelm. Like all these different systems all over the place, running all these different things. You're like, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Loads of wasted time and money because all of those things require you to learn how to do it. So you need to learn and pay money to people to learn how to, you start going on courses about running Facebook groups and you start going on courses about running webinars and you start going on this, and there's a whole lot of time and a whole lot of money that's gone into learning all of these things. Few customers, because your actual end result is your one-to-one services. So by the time you've finished all of this stuff, actually you end up with not very many customers at the end of it paying you for your one-to-one services. Loads of pricing and marketing queries. So usually when people come to me and they say, oh, you're really great with the technology, usually the question is, can I ask you about marketing? Like, how do I use Facebook? Or how do I run a Facebook group? Or I want to do an online course. How much do you think I should offer it for? Those are sorts of questions that I get literally all of the time. And ultimately, what we're ending up with is burnout. What we're ending up with is kind of busy fool, running around doing 50 million things, hoping and praying for goodness sake that something works, because you don't really know what's working or what's not. And the amount of time that it takes you to do all of this stuff, you have no time left. So I got to a point where there weren't enough hours in the day, there weren't enough days in the week to do all the marketing stuff to actually get the one-to-one clients that I needed in order to make any money like the kind of money that I wanted. So my question to myself was, okay, how can I make a difference to this? How can I do something that changes this? Because it doesn't work. And that is why 3 out of 5 businesses fail, is because it doesn't work. And my answer is, how can we simplify? How can we automate? And how can we deliver great customer service to more people? That was sort of where my brain went. The next part of that is, what do I do? What's me? What's what's the skills that I have? And this kind of came from people saying, Zoe, you're really good at this stuff. And I never really knew that this was my magic. This was the stuff that I was good at. So it came to my wonder skills are strategic thinking. I am absolutely bloody good at taking somebody's jumbled up huge amount of ideas and going, right, how do we make that strategically sensible? How do we pull the gold dust out of that and turn it into something that's really simple, really fantastic, and really makes sense? I am brilliant at that. The other thing that I'm brilliant at is endless creative ideas. If you ask any of my members that work for me, they're like, Zoe, do your ideas ever run out? I'm like, no, never, never, ever, ever. I could help 100 people do a course on mindfulness, and all 100 of them will be completely different. So I do have this energy for creative thinking, creative ideas, and it just never runs out. And the last one is a love of online technology. So my love of technology started when I was a kid. I'm at the age where I had half a life without technology and half a life with technology. I'm that age. But my dad was always that interested person. He was always kind of going, ooh, like, what do we do with this? So he was one of the people that had a very early to video cameras, and the ones that you used to put like a VHS tape in it and carry it around on your shoulder. I was the first kid at school to have a portable CD player. Like, I was like, wow, this is amazing. My love of technology has grown over the years in terms of what it can do. I don't like technology for technology's sake. I like technology that simplifies your life or makes it easier in some way. And that's why I fell into the e-learning world, is because to me, there was an opportunity there to kind of get your message across in this kind of digital media. And I think that the world, from what I started off with the very first kind of game consoles and computers, to now where you have a phone in your pocket that you can just get it out and shoot a video, is incredible. And so much of the technology that we used to pay thousands of pounds for in my previous job, and it used to come with like a huge kind of workbook that you went through in terms of using it. You have that now in your iPhone, which is just incredible. But how do I offer you that experience, and how do I help you to kind of welcome you into that world? Because as Amanda started it off, it's not that long ago. I am older, but I'm not that old. We're talking about a technological revolution that's happened over 30 years. And it takes a lot of people, like, nobody's shown you how to use something or said, actually, you press here and you do this and you do that. So it can feel very overwhelming, and it can feel like there's so much to choose from, like, where the hell do I start? So I love kind of bringing that love of technology and changing people's mindset of, oh my God, this is overwhelming, to, oh yeah, I only need this one piece of technology and I can use it like this. So love that. So what do I do? I'm excited about helping people work smarter, not harder. And for me, that means that you need a strategy. You shouldn't be going out and doing all of these things in a hope and a pray that something works. Like, that's not a strategy. And people start off with the shiny technology. They kind of go, oh, I need the microphones and the lights, and I need the Facebook, and I need the whatever it is that they're using. It doesn't start with the shiny technology. It starts with the strategy of what the freaking hell you want to do. And then we pick the simplest, easiest piece of technology that enables you to do it. But you need to know what it is that you want to do before you invest the money and the time and the effort in the technology. I'm excited about helping people earn money while they sleep. Turn your knowledge into income. I think that we know a hell of a lot. As hypnotherapists, our skill set is just so, it's just so amazing. A fraction of what we know can change somebody's life. But how do we turn that into income so that you're not saying, my only income is this big one-to-one piece? Because if you're doing that, it's the hardest way to earn money, because you're asking people to make the biggest commitment for the largest amount of money. And for that's really difficult. And you don't get paid when you're sick. You don't get paid when you're on holiday, which is actually really lovely when you're on holiday and your bank account's going ping, somebody's just paid this, ping, you've just got money from this. It's like, oh my God, this is amazing. So I love doing that. And the last one is build the life that you love. It's not about doing what everybody else expects you to do. It's about bringing the best of you. And that's why what I do is not prescribed. I don't say, like, you have to do A, B, and C, because that's not your personality. That's not your ideas. That's not what you want to do. And for so long in my hypnotherapy business, I was doing what I thought everybody was doing, because I thought that's what was expected of me as a hypnotherapist. None of my personality was in that. And it didn't come from a place of my excitement, motivation, and love. It came from, I've just qualified. I look out to the world. All these hypnotherapists are doing this, so I'll do that too. So build the life that you love. Have trust in your ideas. Bring your personality to the work that you're doing. And kind of, I love doing that bit as well, as encouraging you to be yourself and do it your way. So, biggest mistakes then. Biggest mistakes. What do people always do? What do I see people doing time and time again? So the first mistake is not starting with you. We all come into this industry because we have a personality of wanting to make a difference and wanting to help people. So most of the people that I talk to start off with saying, I just want to help. I just want to get out there. I just want to make a difference. I just want to help. And unfortunately, that leads you to doing everything because somebody's asked you for help. You've no boundaries. You've no focus. You just keep going, yeah. So somebody rings you up and says, can you help with confidence? Yeah. Can you help with anxiety? Yeah. Can you help with this? Yeah. Could you do this webinar over here? Yeah. Could you do this? Yeah. And it's like, before you know it, you've said yes to so many things that you don't know what you're doing. So we've got to start with you. We've got to start with, what life do you want? What type of business do you want? What is your viewpoint on this thing? So you might say, through my training, I really enjoyed this section. What's your viewpoint? What's your opinion? What difference do you want to make? What's your aha? What's the bit that you say, I want to change this in the world. I want to have an impact on that. I see this in the world and I don't like it. I want to do something about it. If we are used to kind of the background of corporate work like I was, or you've come in from an NHS background or things like that, it's almost like you're on this treadmill where your opinion doesn't matter. And I think the whole point of training in something like this and the joy of building a business is you get to do it your way. There isn't a rule. There isn't a person saying that you can only be successful if you do it in this fashion. That doesn't exist. So if we're gifting you that freedom, then we've got to start off with you. We've got to start off with, what the hell do you want? What kind of life do you want? What kind of difference do you want to make? What do you like? How do you like it? Because there's a million different ways to build a business. So you might as well build it the way that you enjoy and you like. So we've got to start off with you. And that's one of the biggest mistakes that I see, is that people aren't getting the joy out of the business because they're not doing it the way that they want to do it. Okay, number 2 is unrealistic expectations. So this comes up quite a lot in my membership group, and as we're chatting, is things like, I've got 300 people on my Facebook. Why aren't they clients? It doesn't work like that. A news flash. the first thing that you do probably isn't going to work. That's okay. You don't have a reputation in this industry yet. Nobody knows that you exist, let alone that you're good at it. Like, you're starting off from a place of like, social media alone isn't gonna get you out to the masses and suddenly everyone's like, oh my God, she's amazing and I need to come to her for one-to-one help. It's like, we can't, it's not a case of build it and they will come. You have to get a reputation, you have to get known, you have to stand for something. You can make £1 million in 6 weeks, but you'll spend 750,000 making that million. So it's a case of you're going to have to face the scary things and do the things that get you a business and get you into this world. And I think I very much started with incredibly unrealistic expectations. Would I go back and say somebody can start a therapy business with 750 quid? Well, yeah, because I did it. Would I say that's a very sensible thing to do? Hell no. I was an idiot and I was very naive. I did it out of sheer grit, determination and bloody mindedness. But my expectations were incredibly unrealistic. I was like sat in my house going, I know this stuff and I'm good at it. Where are the people? They're not going to knock on your door. They're not going to suddenly go, I think there might be a hypnotherapist living at number 2. I'll go and see what she's about. Let me knock on the door and see. Nobody knows you. So the realistic element of what you're doing, I think, is the second mistake. People put this unrealistic pressure on themselves to get results quick. And they put this unrealistic expectation that I'm posting on social media every day, so why am I not full of clients? Because that's not how it works. Third one, doing all the things, and usually for free or very low cost. Because you want clients, you try everything. And if it doesn't work, you try something else. So I remember in the early days kind of going to networking with freebies, and I'd be like, right, I've got this freebie because I'm good at technology and it's easy. So I'll do this freebie. 2 people signed up to the freebie and I thought, oh, that's a bit rubbish. What else could I do? Oh, I could do this. So the next time I went to networking, I had a different freebie. And then the next time I went to networking, I had another different freebie. And people were just waiting for the next free thing. So then I'd go and say, oh, I'm going to do this webinar. And they'd be like, oh, great. Yeah, I'll come along to your webinar. They just hang around for the free stuff because they know full well that you're going to keep doing the free stuff. And your free stuff changes all the time. So number 1, people hang around for the free stuff because you're doing so much free stuff. And number 2, it's very overwhelming and confusing for your clients. So if you go out on social media on a Monday and say, hey, download my 5 top tips to anxiety. And then on Tuesday, oh, book in with me to stop smoking. And on a Wednesday, I'm looking for new clients for weight loss. And then on a Thursday, oh, I've got this download for this. Your clients are literally going, what the hell? What am I doing? And what am I supposed to be connecting with you for? There's no journey. There's no flow to your messaging. There's no building up of that content and reputation. And quite frankly, from your point of view, it's freaking exhausting. It's putting all this stuff together and doing all this stuff. So don't do all the things. You don't need to do all the things. You don't need to know all the things. And you certainly don't need to have offers coming out of your ears. And the last one is no focus on the numbers and no accountability. So there was a great Alice in Wonderland quote that said, if you don't know where you want to be, then any road will lead you there. If you don't know where you want to get to, then any road's going to lead you there. And that is incredibly true. So I avoided the numbers and the accountability for years. And I did affirmations and manifesting till it came out of my ears. But without the numbers and the accountability, that's called dreaming. And left to your own devices without that accountability, then you flounder and you procrastinate and you end up in your head and you decide that you can't do it and it's too hard and you don't want to continue. And all of that stuff kind of goes, goes on so much that you kind of can't tell whether you're making a difference or whether something's working. So in terms of online technology, one of my members she had 27 pieces of technology in her business that she was using for various things. And I was like, tell me your numbers. And she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. How many people have signed up via this? How many people have converted from this to this? How many people out of your social media have done this? What's your numbers? What numbers are you trying to get to? How much does it cost you to run your business? How much is all this technology costing you? She's like, I don't know. I don't know. I was like, right, number one, we need some numbers and we need some accountability. Don't invest in technology until you know that that's the wise investment to make, that you do need it and that you are going to use it and it fits within your strategic plan. If you're creating a video, who for, why, and where's somebody going after that video, and how many people have watched the video and then bought the damn thing that you were trying to get them to buy? And then in that case, you know, to invest in the time. People say, right, I'm blogging, right, tell me how many, is your blog growing? How many people are reading your blog? I don't know, I just blog every month. Oh well, okay, you're wasting your time, because you probably could have done one blog, spent longer on it and got more views on it and got further in terms of client numbers than you did by spending the time doing 6 blogs that you did. So there's a hell of a lot of benefit in looking at your numbers and also having accountability to those numbers and saying, right, and that doesn't mean that they have to be scary. It's not like I spend a huge amount of time looking at my numbers, because they don't exactly excite me, but I'm not doing something without looking at whether people are viewing it and whether they're converting and whether they're buying, because it might just be a simple tweak that you need to do. Instead of doing all this amount of work, you might just need to tweak it a little bit, like change the image or change the title, not chuck the whole thing out and do something completely different. So no focus on the numbers and accountability. It's kind of mistake number 4 that I see a lot. Okay, so I created the bib blueprint, and the reason why it's a blueprint is because it's a structure that you can then test your ideas against. So I didn't want to create something that says, using technology to create a business, a brilliant business, do it this way and you'll be successful, because that thing, as far as I'm concerned, doesn't exist. But you definitely need a blueprint in terms of, well, how do I know whether my idea is a good one? And how do I know whether it's worth buying that piece of technology or doing that thing? How do I know that? And how do I do it in a way that, you know, you keep banging on about strategy and how important it is, but like, how do I know what strategy is a good strategy? So in the middle of lockdown, I came up with the blueprint, and then I kind of created it from there. So there's 4 steps. I'm going to go through it with you. Ta-da, this is the blueprint. So step number 1 is foundations. Step number 1 is the bit where we start with you and we say, okay, you can't build a brilliant business unless you have strong foundations, unless you know where you're going, what it is that you want, the way that you want to work, what you love doing, how do we get the best out of you, how much money do you want to earn, how many hours do you want to work. Like, we set the foundations to start with, and the blueprint is almost like a jigsaw. All the pieces should fit together, and when they fit together you go, aha, that's my answer, my brilliant thing, when it works within the blueprint. The people that I have been working with this on, I wouldn't say that the 4 steps necessarily are linear. So I wouldn't say that it's like you do the blueprint, you get it, and that's it. It's more like you think about one thing and it changes the other bit. So then you've got to go back and think, oh, does that fit with my foundations? Does that fit with this? I'm not sure, and kind of play around with it. So a lot of people have kind of used this as a reference material, and then they've come back to it time and time again. So foundations, we start with those solid foundations. Step 2, environment. There's lots of times that people have said, who's your ideal client to me? And I've gone, I don't know. And there's loads of times that I've sat in beautifully vaulted meeting rooms with an ideal client worksheet in front of me that says, who do you want to work with? And I end up with Sandra, brown hairs, blue eyes, she's a solicitor. And then I think, I don't really want to work with hundreds of Sandras. I don't know. For me, that level of information is very light. And it doesn't really help me in terms of business strategy and business structure. So for me, customer and environment is about saying, like, what keeps them awake at night is one of the questions that I love asking. So whoever it is that you want to work with, what keeps them awake at night? What's the pain that they're feeling? What's the life that they currently have that they don't want anymore? What's the life that they do want? And where are they in terms of what do they read? What groups are they on? What's the simplest and easiest possible way that I can get in front of these people, or a mixture of these people? Like, where are they? And all of those are far more useful questions, like market research about what's currently out there. So if I said, what grates me in the world is weight loss. So one of the very early things that I did was help my husband, and he lost 11.5 stone. And if that passion was there, I don't think it was at the time. I was like, yeah, I can do it. It's great, but it doesn't really light my fire. But hey, say it did. Say I got a fire for the weight loss world. Part of the step 2 in the environment would be, okay, this weight loss person, what options did they have? And what would make them come to me instead of going to the Weight Watchers or the Slimming World? What is it that I offer, or where do I fit within that market? What's the price points of other things in the market? And are they like a Waitrose customer, a Sainsbury's customer, or an Aldi customer? Like, where in the market is these people that I want to help? So some of my members say that they want to work with people who are kind of the bottom end of the budget. They're kind of the Aldi market. And I say, okay, that's great, but your business model isn't going to work on one-to-one sessions because they can't afford them. And you can't afford to deliver them, because if you did, you're not making enough money. So yes, you can absolutely work with those people. That's not a problem. But we need to strategically think about your business model of how you're going to come up with something that works for that market, that financially is sensible. Because going out and saying, I'll work and do these sessions for these people at 30 quid, you're just not going to be able to spend, you're just not going to be able to build the business for those people. So for me, the step 2 is who is this environment? Who's this person that we're trying to get to? But it's a hell of a lot deeper than Sandra, who's got brown hairs and is a solicitor, because that's just, it doesn't impact your business in any way. So step 2 is customer environment. Step 3 is structure within your business, and I've broken it down here into the three parts. So conversion is 1%. Now, I went to an event run by a guy who I won't mention because I thought he was an arse, but he was a multimillionaire, right? And one of the best things that I got from his entire day was he shared his numbers. And he said it was a free event, face-to-face event in Manchester. And he got 70,000 people were interested in the event. 7,000 people signed up and 170 odd were in the room on the day. And that's a marketing team. That's classed as a huge success. That's numbers. That's the reality of numbers. So your conversion is 1%. So I've also helped people in the membership with events and said, you know, I put this event on and 2 people turned up, and I was like, great, how many people did you put it out to? And they're like, 20. I'm like, well, that's freaking good. Actually, 2 people out of 20 is an amazing achievement. Well done, that's fantastic. So the reality of conversion and the reality of numbers is far different, back to that kind of unrealistic expectations thing. You're doing fantastically well. If you have an event that goes out to 20 people and 2 people turn up, then you're smashing it. But if you want 50 people in the room, you're not talking to enough people. There's just not enough of the kind of technology automated marketing piece in it to give you enough people to convert at 1%. So in your structure at the bottom, you need loads of people and we need packed full of value. So this is the point where people don't know you, they've never met you, they don't know anything about you, but they need something that lets them in to your world. And it needs to be something that you can get out to lots and lots of people. That needs to be your organ grinder of whatever it is that you're doing. So this is equally where kind of Facebook groups, I have a mixed feeling on Facebook groups, because that kind of group community I have seen work, but I've seen it work in very specific circumstances. Because the reality of managing a Facebook group is it takes a shit ton of time and effort, like more than you can ever imagine, to build a Facebook group, and none of them are paying you. So how many hours are you going to spend building the Facebook group in order to get your money back? Talking about numbers and accountability. It works in certain circumstances, but the majority of time it doesn't. And it's way too much effort and input for the output that you're going to get. That doesn't mean that I don't like Facebook groups. I think they do work. But if you came to me and we're talking strategically about your business, I'd be very much asking about your foundations and your environment and where that fits and how it works and why it works, and making sure that it's the right decision for you. So we want lots and lots of people. We want to show people that it's good stuff, that it's packed full of value so they can get to know you and like you. And then 1% of those will convert into your small product or your small impact. And at that point, you're confirming the impact. You're saying to them, yes, I'm the right person for you. And yes, this is going to make a difference for you. And at this point, your price should be increasing. And then 1% of those will convert into your higher offer. So that top one, that few people at high price, that's where I would put your one-to-one work, at the top of the funnel. Now, if your strategy said, I want to work with the celebrities of the world at £2,000 a package, that would look a very different. You might do different things at different levels depending on your output in terms of that top value. And you can earn money at any points in your structure. So how does that money then add up to your foundations? So that's the structure. And then the top is the roof. Now the roof is this checking back on what you're doing. So if you were launching a webinar, for example, and you ran the webinar, I would be then, in terms of the roof, that would be the bit where we look back and we say, right, how many people saw the advert? How many people signed up? How many people came along? How many people came in from this bit or that bit? Or did this work more than that work? Did we get the numbers that we wanted? Did we achieve? Did we not achieve? Because so many people throw the baby out with the bathwater. They do, I'm going to do this webinar. 2 people turned up. That means it was a failure. Let's pull it all and do something else. You might have only needed to change the title and the rest would have been fine. So the roof is, a structure is not solid until you put the roof on. When you put the roof on, everything else comes together. So it's that bit that we check and we look and we analyze what we're doing, and we say, do we need to tweak the audience? Do we need to tweak the foundation? Do we need to tweak this bit of the structure? Do we need to tweak the email marketing? Do we need to tweak the picture, the title, what? And you can't change all of those things the next time, because then you don't know what's changed and made the difference. So the roof bit is all around, how do we look at our figures? How do we know how well something's done? How do we belts and braces? And then how do we learn going forwards in terms of what we're changing and how we're changing it. So that is the 4 steps of the blueprint. And as I said, none of my members have put that together and then gone, right, I've got it. Building a business is a journey. So you work on one bit and you think, right, I've got that. And then you build something, you go, not sure. And we come back again and we alter another bit or we change another bit. So it's constantly kind of evolving as we go through. But you can come back to this with your ideas and say, right, you know, where does this fit? What am I doing? How am I doing it? So implementing the blueprint is a journey, and you can work on it step by step. I don't know a single person that I've introduced this to and I've been working on with that's kind of gone away and just gone bish bash bosh, it's all there and off we go and we're flying. Like, that's just not how it works. It is a journey, and you can work on it and tweak it step by step as you go. Simple shifts can make a big impact. So sometimes the answers are in the really simple things, and you certainly don't have to do it alone. That was one of the things that I kind of did wrong, really, was I thought that success meant me, you know, doing it all by myself, unless and if I asked for help, then somehow I was failing or making you know, not good enough because I had to ask for help. And I really wish that way before now I'd have gone, hang on a minute, other people know stuff and can shortcuts this and can make it a lot simpler and easier, and that isn't failure, that's working smart. Okay, so I want you to work towards creating something that is simple, it's automated, and it's brilliantly you. If somebody says, what does Build It Brilliant do in a sentence? That's my dream. That's my dream for all helping profession people, is that they create something simple, automated, and brilliantly you. So I have been busy, very busy, creating resources in order to bring this to life and in order to help you to implement this. So how do you get started? This is pretty much the Build It Brilliant pathway. So I'll go through it bit by bit, and then you know what's available to you, what you can access. So I kind of started off with Build It Brilliant resources. So I'm going to start off with the grey bit, to be honest. So the first thing that I did was I started doing an AMA, which is Ask Me Anything, because the technology bits that people were asking me, I was like, I want to build a resource for people that they can go to that answers all these kind of technological questions and helps them into this world of technology by demystifying it and making them see that it's not as hard as they think, or it's not as difficult as they think. So I started the AMA, which is Ask Me Anything. So now on YouTube, I have got, in the Build It Brilliant YouTube channel, I've got 150 odd videos now, showing you all sorts of stuff. The one that I released this week was how to record client sessions, and I go through the different options, the different technologies, and how to save them and how to distribute them and all sorts of stuff. I have done one where I review 8 different course platforms and tell you what the difference is between the different ones. So if you wanted to create courses, you're making an educated decision over that. I've done a Canva tutorial. So if you want to design kind of social media posts and stuff like that, I've done stuff about email autoresponders, which is all about setting up automated emails to go to things and setting up newsletters and all sorts of stuff. So I think, and I release a video every week. So there's now 150 on there. It grows every week. I love doing it because I do think that that resource should be free, and it should be something that you can tap into when you want. So that's that. I wrote the Build It Brilliant Blueprint book, which is the blueprint that I've just gone through with you, but in much more detail and much more information, so you can get the book. If you like the blueprint, you think, I get it, but I want more info, then buy the book. And And they're the resources really in terms of AMA and book. And then I set up a quiz because I come from a service background. So I come from, I spent years in kind of managing bars and restaurants and stuff like that. So this idea of service, if you go into a bar and restaurant, somebody asks you what you want, they don't just slam a plate of food down in front of you. So I built a quiz, which is 12 questions, and it helps score you against those 4 elements of the blueprint. So that gives you a red, amber, green to say this bit you've got sorted, but this bit you haven't. And then I give you personalized recommendations depending on how you scored on each bit. So effectively, it's asking you how you're doing and giving you an opportunity to test your current strategy and see whether you're ready to invest in the technology or not. So if you score low on that quiz, then I'd be saying, let's work on the strategy. You're not quite ready for investing in the technology. And then I created a learning bite, which is a module for each element of the quiz. So if you score rubbish on your foundations, then there's a learning bite module, which is an hour webinar and 3 exercises to help you improve your foundations. And there's a learning bite for each one. So there's a learning bite on your foundations, there's a learning bite on your customer environment, there's a learning bite on your structure, and there's a learning bite on the roof. So that gives you very specific activities that help you then in each of those areas. Then I've created the BIB Accelerator, which is my community and my membership, and it's all about coming together to help you to implement the strategy, give you the accountability, and support you every step of the way. So that's the bit where people come into the accelerator. There's an online area with resources in, again, foundations, customer environment, structure, and roof. So there's more resources on each one of those. We have 2 coaching calls a month where people come and say, Zoe, I can't do this. Help me. How do I make this work? How do I do this? How do I keep on track with this? Talk me through your numbers. Like, we come together as a group and help each other every step of the way. So that's the BIB Accelerator for the membership side of things. And then after that, I'm busy at the minute on my consultancy side, because I want to have a team of fantastic people who can then do the work that you don't want to do. So if you say, Zoe, I need a website, I want to be able to have all of those technology people under the Build It Brilliant umbrella, so that then you can have that faith in me that those people work for our industry and will get it. So if you want graphic design doing, or copywriting doing, or websites doing, or you think, oh my God, somebody just take my social media off my hands, then I'm currently working on building my team so that then I'm going to have consultancy on the back of that to say, I've worked through the strategy, we know what we're doing, we now just need the person to help us to make that happen. So at the minute, that's kind of the next step of what I am working on. So quiz-wise, if you're interested, that is the quiz. That's the link to the quiz. That's the QR code and also the URL to the quiz. If you want to kind of test whether you're ready for technology or what you score, then you're more than welcome to do that. If you want the kind of free resources, head to the Build It Brilliant YouTube channel and go and check out some of those. And if you want the book, it is available on Amazon, but I currently have an offer on the Build It Brilliant website where you pay for the postage and I'll give you the book for free. So obviously that is a lot cheaper than the Amazon option. Free is always cheaper. So yeah. Okay, so Wendy, love it. I was going to say, questions. Right, come on. Pick my brain, ask me for what you want, go for it. Okay, so a website for me is another one which is a bit unrealistic expectations about the output of a website. A website for me is that place that people go to make sure that you're a real person. and to see what you have to offer. The traffic to your website is usually quite low, because how many people know that you exist? So over time, the traffic to the website builds because you're doing more for people to say, who is this person? What is she about? I'm going to go and have a look at her website. Or you're doing something that then says, go and sign up on the website, or go here on the website. So when you first start out, I'm just going to have a look. Wendy, where are you? Yeah, okay. Yeah, qualified 18 months ago. Okay, so my expectations for your website would be, it is a starting point to then direct people to your work. Don't worry so much about the traffic element of it, because it's going to grow over time. My top tips with websites, I did an AMA video about whether you should do your website yourself or whether you should pay somebody. I think there's merits for both versions. For me, the most important part is that you have the ability to edit your website, because if you want to change your pricing, or you want to offer a different service or add something in, if you have to pay every single time you want to change everything, I have rebuilt my website about 3 or 4 times in my business journey. That would have cost me an absolute freaking fortune if I'd have had to pay every single time. And that's not to mention all the times that I've needed to change a price on something. So fab, Wendy, I love it. Call in the husband. So yeah, so there are elements of, I've done some AMA videos on SEO. There's another one coming out in a couple of weeks. There are some videos already there about SEO. And I have created a course that's all about SEO for my Bib Accelerator members. SEO is such a huge topic. There's some very simple things you can do to improve your search engine optimization, but it's a long-term strategy. So if you did a blog today and you SEO'd the hell out of it, that will start getting results in 4 to 6 months' time. It is not a quick strategy. So the acorns that you plant today will become oak trees. But I think people have this idea that, I'll put some blogs on my website, I'll put, SEO the hell out of my website, and then they sit there going, where are my clients? It's like, there'll be 6 months before that starts doing much for your business. So it's worth doing, because in 6 months' time, you're going to be 6 months further along than you are now. But I think if you're relying on that as a strategic business building piece, then your expectations are probably not quite in line with reality. So Wendy, let me know if that helps.
Would it be easier for me to speak?
Yeah, you're quite quiet. I can't hear. Shall I stop share and come back to you? Let's do that. Right, I'm back.
Yeah.
Go on.
Better?
You might have to shout.
My earplugs in. Hang on.
See if your headphones work.
Any better?
Oh, hello.
Yeah. I'm deafening everybody now. So I've got quite a bit on social media. So I've got approximately 6,500 overall. That's with my business page, my personal page, and my groups, and also what I've got on LinkedIn, Instagram, and also my mailing list. So
Okay.
I've been building that for some time. I've got a website at the minute which has been around for a few years, which is my spiritual business. But I decided that it was probably advisable to have a separate one from a hypnotherapy website, simply because I didn't want to confuse people. However, that being said, I'm now thinking about doing the spiritual hypnotherapy anyway, so they do come together at some point. So we've now created website for stop smoking initially, because that's what we were looking at earlier. So I'm wanting to, kind of start getting that out there. I assume initially I'd need to start sharing that website on my social media and all my current. I'm just smiling at Amanda's comment there. When you like
I love that
spiritual stuff.
So
yeah, I mean that is my thought really.
So I would come at it from a different angle, because Amanda's just put Wendy lights up with the spiritual stuff. So this is a bit like me saying, I love all the technology piece, but it takes someone else to say, but this is your light, this is where you shine, this is what you're amazing at. Now my worry would be, you're going to split your audience because of the two different, you're approaching something from two different websites or two different places. It splits your audience. You're basically saying, I've got 6,000 people, which is amazing, by the way, well done. You either go
all of those things that you said earlier, by the way.
Yeah,
you were talking about me and describing me earlier.
Yeah, you go like, oh, half of my people are going to go here, and half of my people, and people are a bit like, who is she? What's she doing?
Yeah.
This person's one person. Why is it these different things? I have two websites, and the reason that I have two websites is because one is my business called Refresh Minds that does corporate workshops. So my audience for corporate workshops is the corporate world. I then have my Build It Brilliant website, because all my work in Build It Brilliant is about you guys, the helping professions. So the reason that they're two different websites is because those services are completely different audiences. They're completely different people. Where what you're saying is people come to me for this healing. They come to me because they're struggling. They come to me because they want awakening in some way. They're the same people. So yes, they may want the spiritual elements because that's you. So it's the way in which you deliver it. It's not necessarily the XYZ of what you deliver. So if you are talking about a completely different audience for something, it makes sense to kind of say, I have two different websites because they're completely different audiences. But that's not what you're saying. You're saying, this is me. This is me and what I offer. It's the way in which I do something. I light up with the spiritual stuff. So that's the market that you want to be going at, is the people that love your spiritual stuff. So smoking cessation, for example, hypnotherapy is brilliant for it, but so is spiritual stuff. So is that spiritual journey. So why are we going after smoking clients who are just everyday smoking clients looking for hypnotherapy, instead of clients that love you for what you do and want that spiritual journey into overcoming whatever the frickin' hell they want to overcome, including smoking? So it's about displaying your personality of who you are and what you are, not necessarily the various services that you offer. Because ultimately as well is that as we go through this journey, we love adding new things because we love learning. How are you going to add that in? You're going to have a different website every time you add a new element to your service.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
So
I just hope that aspects of the hypnotherapy, specifically with, the smoking, weight loss, that kind of thing, sat separately, and that's kind of why I thought maybe that was the route to go.
Yeah, I
could put it all back
personally
together, yes.
would say your 6,000 people have come to you because of you, because of who you are, and they're all the same audience. So therefore, the website should be the same service. It should just be more of you on that website in terms of what you're offering. In terms of your website and getting it out to more people, that's in a bigger marketing strategy. Like what's the customer journey that you're going to take them on? So it's more looking at, okay, these people, and if you, there's more in my book about niching, but you don't necessarily have to niche in terms of your whole business. You can do if you want, but you have to talk to a customer and take them on a journey with you. So your content has to niche. So if you say, spiritually, I absolutely love working with these kinds of things, then how do you talk to a person who's got that problem, and what journey are we leading them on, and what technology are you using in order to lead them on that journey? So it might be that you say, when I the first step to this is my 5 steps to such thing, download it here. But that's on your website. So everybody goes to your website to download the thing. So you're getting that website out via saying, go to my website to look at this information, or go to my website to do this. you know, and the over time, the SEO stuff works, or the blogging works, or the stuff on your website works to get you more traffic and get your website out there to people. To me, kind of my website is just my little home for stuff that I send people to, and how they can find me and know that I'm a real person.
Yeah.
Can I just add my 2 pence in as well?
Of course you can.
So there are a lot of really spiritual people that want to talk to somebody in their language about stopping smoking. There are a lot of really spiritual people who struggle with eating loads of sugar, and they don't want to talk about weight management. They want to talk about being on their spiritual journey and loving themselves. So it's about recognizing that you know how to do the weight management, you know how to do the addiction stuff, you know how to do the smoking stuff, you know how to do all that stuff, but you also know how to speak to your clients in your language. It's just about putting yourself out there, I think, as a spiritual hypnotherapist, because honestly, we were talking about this the other day, and like excitement in her face when she was talking about working with her spiritual gifts in comparison with helping people stop smoking.
I know.
It just that's what I mean. Different. I was like, do forget that. Do that.
It's almost like we have tools in our kit, but we need to personalize those tools to the way in which we light up, the way in which we love, the way in which we want to get that across. And that is how you build a business. It's not necessarily, I do hypnotherapy, I do Reiki, I do EFT, I do whatever it is. Like that's not really the point. And that's not what customers connect to either. They don't, they're like, yeah, and I don't care.
Yeah. Okay. I just need to find a way to sell it then.
Yeah. It's about giving yourself permission to bring your voice forward in the way in which that feels really good for you. And to hell with anybody else. I think we kind of get into this, I can't do that because other people are going to disagree.
Yeah. We're in a bit of a scary world as well, you know, where as women, when we speak with a strong voice, or as holistic practitioners, when we speak with a strong message, or when we have a really powerful message we want to share, it feels scary as hell.
Yeah,
it's scary to share that.
That's why I wanted to in Build It Brilliant to build the membership. So many people to me said, oh Zoe, you could do so many, like, you know, courses about this stuff. And I was like, yeah, but it's not the way that I want to do it. I want to do it as a membership in a community, because a lot of this journey isn't necessarily the technology. Yes, you need to use the technology, but a lot of the nervousness around technology is actually, shoot, I've got to put myself out there. So I'm not doing the video because that means me actually saying that I'm a spiritual person, and then loads of people are going to hate me for that. So that's why Build It Brilliant's a membership, is because yes, I help you with technology, absolutely, but I help you with the journey of technology, which is different to press X, press Y, press this. You know, it's about saying you're allowed to be you, and sometimes you need someone to give you that permission, or that nudge, or that kind of accountability to say it's okay. There's one of my members who did a webinar. She was like, I'm gonna pull it, and it was only that kind of community, and that we were all like, absolutely not, like, keep going, keep doing it, keep pushing, keep putting it out there, keep having that voice. And she was like, right, I trust you all, I'm gonna do it. And eventually she got 40 people on her webinar, which is amazing. But it was a webinar that was truly her. And like you said, Amanda, that's sometimes a scary thing, and we pull something because we're nervous about being honest and putting that out there, rather than the actual, you know, part of doing the technology.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm also from a corporate background, and the spiritual aspect was always hidden.
Oh yeah. Oh, you're a weirdo.
Exactly. So that's kind of continued on.
Yeah.
I guess.
You're woo woo. Oh, go away. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. Anyway, thanks, Zoe.
No,
I felt very similar when I kind of put myself out there as a as a person who specializes in helping with addiction, as a recovered addict. It was like, she's totally mental. Like, who's going to trust her? I remember when she was like lying on the floor not so many years ago. You know, I remember what she used to be like, because I was a very outspoken person as well when I was having, you know, and I definitely made an impact in not a positive way in lots of people's lives. So I was terrified to talk about it out loud. And, you know, I loved working with pregnancy and mamas and all that, but I've never wanted to have my own children. And I felt incredibly vulnerable about working in that area. First of all, don't want them to know that I used to be a junkie, because flipping it, they're not going to let me near a pregnant woman, are they? And then, you know, the balance of it, working with addicts, it was like, oh. And I realized that there was real strength in that vulnerability when I actually put myself out there really authentically. That's when people just started coming in. They just started booking. And I was like, oh, right, okay, this is interesting.
Oh, you know, that's the thing. That's what I should be doing. That's me. Oh, right, okay. Yeah, it's
see the truth in you, and they resonate with you, and they go, I'm going to talk to her because she understands. She's not going to judge me, or oh, she seems really knowledgeable and like really, she's going to help me feel confident about something, because that's what I'm good at, and that's where my skills are. And it's like, I just have to be me, don't I?
Yeah, and it's easy, and I'm constantly talking to my members about easy. Because we have this thing like, it's not allowed to be easy. I'm not allowed to do the easy things. That's too easy. And it's like, okay, we're updating our mindset that easy for you does not mean easy for everybody else. Like, you have this idea that it's not worth the money or it's not worth the effort because it's easy. And it's like, yeah, to you, that's the whole point. And you're allowed to build a business that feels easy and feels fun and you enjoy. And sometimes the journey that you go on is that permission, because we've spent so long thinking you've got to do all the hard stuff, and you do all the hard stuff and not the easy stuff, that it's kind of relearning to say, what would you love to do? You know, there's a lady that I'm working with, and she just came out one day and went, I'd really love to do some group work. I was like, great, let's do some group work. But she's like, oh, but working in groups would be too easy.
Not for everyone.
And fun. Like, so it's easy, so you're not allowed, or it's easy, so therefore you have to make your life hard. Like, what's going on here? So it's helping you to discover ease and fun and personality, and saying that yes, you can absolutely be you and do things your way and build something the way that you really like building it. There's, you know, and that sometimes is part of the journey. It takes a bit of time to kind of realize that you have that permission and that you're allowed.
I think as well, because we are bombarded with this idea of technology, and I know you love technology, Zoe, but for some people it's just not going to be their thing ever, and it's just they hate it. And I'm like, well, where is your thing? It might actually be your place and your tribe and your people might be at the local church on a Wednesday morning having a cup of coffee. They might all be your clients.
Yeah.
And so that's where you need to be, and that's where you need to be marketing. But
I had a lady that very reluctantly joined the membership, and she said, I bloody hate social media. I absolutely hate it. So I said, right, who's your customer? So we're working through the blueprint. Like, what's your foundations? What lights you up? What gets you excited? Who's your customer? And it turned out that she really loved working with the kind of the medical profession, but teaching them this approach to chronic pain. And she was like, doctors, specialists. And I was like, well, guess what? They're not on social media because they haven't got time to do social media. So she was like, you're giving me permission to not do social media. I was like, yeah, don't bother. And she was just like, oh my God. You know, because everybody's like, you've got to be on social media, you've got to be doing all of this, you've got to be doing all of that. I do love technology, but I love technology strategically. I don't love technology for the sake of technology. If you're using stuff just for the sake of I'm sat here doing all this social media stuff and it makes no sense whatsoever for your business. If it can stop doing it, what are you doing it for? And then other people have said, oh, my audience is, you know, the kind of corporate world. I'm like, then why are you doing Facebook? Just do LinkedIn. You don't have to do all this stuff that is not relevant to your strategy and it's not relevant to your people. So absolutely, if your business is the people that I want are sat, like you say, in the church hall at 9 o'clock, then freaking go to the church hall at 9 o'clock, offer to do a talk. I can teach you the technology of using PowerPoint to create a great talk. I can teach you the technology of how you get them on an email address from a stage. So it's where technology is useful to you strategically to ease your life, simplify and automate. It's not like, oh my God, we've got to use everything for the sake of using everything, because that to me is not working smarter and harder. That's just creating you a nightmare. And you hate it, so you're not going to do it because you don't want to.
And when you hate it, you'll end up just not doing it, and that's when businesses just start going.
They don't work.
Further.
I've got a lady that was like, don't make me do videos. And I was like, okay. And then we worked through the strategy and the blueprint, and now I can't freaking stop her doing videos. She's on videos every freaking Friday. And I went, what happened to the woman that don't make me do videos? And now I can't, you know, now I'm talking to you about the roof and saying, what are you doing? Where's your call to action? And where are they strategically meant to help your business? Because I can't freaking stop you doing videos. What changed? And she said 2 things. The love and the motivation over what she was doing, and the realization that it was a message that was important to her to get out to the world. It mattered. And the simplicity that in which I introduced her to the technology, because she was just overcomplicating the whole process and getting herself in a dizzy, when she really didn't need to. So those 2 things together is now she's got a message that she's really excited to share and realize the impact of what she can share. And she knows how to do it really easily. So yeah, now we're on a, please stop doing videos. Not stop, but yeah, have a bit more of a thing for videos.
Has anybody else got any sort of more questions? Because we've just got 5 minutes left. Anyone got any questions, any queries? Nothing.
Why something doesn't work?
Yeah, Emma, why doesn't your phone work?
Maybe it's because she doesn't want to speak to you.
That's exactly what it is. She's turned it off. It's off time. But is there any sort of questions? I have a couple of questions about data protection and working with clients. Like, technically our clients we've got to keep things confidential when we're using Zoom, when we're using technology, when we're recording things, when we want to get things like reviews put out there. I mean, I'm so like careful about who I ask if I can have a review. I almost have to have become their friend before I ask them for a review, because I feel like there's some kind of weird confidentiality breaking if they write a review and I go, George came for stopping smoking, here's George. And some people give me a review and it doesn't say what they came for, because you know, they came for, particularly with what I do, they came because they were using ketamine and now they got a lovely life. They don't want people to know about that. So, you know, they might write amazing experience, but they might not say that they
there's
in the dark. So it's a challenge with that.
Yeah, there's certain layers to that. Number one, security of online storage has gone so far to what it used to be. So now things like Google Drive, OneDrive, these sorts of things are now encrypted. They did and Zoom, when the pandemic hit, had a security issue. That has now been updated. So I think we can all be grateful in some ways to the whole COVID and pandemic, because it got the technology world shit together. Because so many companies were passing information all over the place that they kind of had to up their game. So in terms of Zoom, I did a video on Zoom and their updated settings, but the security on Zoom is now fantastic with passwords, you know, meeting weight rooms and things like that you don't get random people coming on your Zoom and things like that. Again, Zoom is encrypted, so we're good to go on all of that. I would say, though, we have a level of responsibility when it comes to client forms, client notes, those sorts of things. I always add an extra password on there because I know that Google Drive is encrypted, but I put an extra password on those files so that there's an extra level. So number one is the password to get into Google. They've got to get that. Number two, Google is encrypted in terms of information anyway. And then number three, there's an additional password that they need to get through. That to me is due diligence enough to make me comfortable in terms of risk. In terms of testimonials, I started offering people, when they signed my forms at the beginning, 3 levels that said, do you want kind of 100% doctor patient, don't tell anybody about anything ever kind of confidentiality? Do you want kind of respectful confidentiality, which is if I said, Dave came to me because he was struggling with this and we did this and then this happened, but it's completely irrelevant to you in every way, shape or form. Are you all right with that? Or are you all right with kind of open confidentiality where I'll always ask you, I'm never going to share your story with the world without asking you. But would you be open to kind of saying, you know, yes, it was me and this is what happened? Or, you know, because if that's the case, then at the end, I might ask you if we'll do a video together, or I might ask you if you'll do the statement. And actually, when I started doing that, I found that 99% of people chose either you can talk about me in a nothing associated with me way, or I'm more than happy, I'm open, I don't really care. But because it's in the contract and it's signed at the beginning, then I felt more comfortable then to ask those people at the end. And I always said, I will never do anything without asking you first. It just gives me an idea of whether to ask you or not. So the people that said, I want 100%, I'm not, you know, this is completely private, I was like, cool. And I never asked them. But it opened the door because actually about 90% of people said, yeah, more than happy. But it allowed me to feel comfortable with afterwards saying, do you remember at the beginning, you did tick this box? So I'm getting back in touch with you because you had such a fantastic result. Yeah. This is, you know, I do want to use it in this context. Is that okay? And I never got anybody that said no, piss off.
Brilliant.
So.
Well, that was a fantastic result, getting you to come and talk to us this evening. I've written so many notes. It's like scribbling away. I really feel like I've got loads out of it. It's confirmed some things for me. It's made me think, oh, I'm going to look at that a bit more. And I totally resonated with I'm doing Facebook groups, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing that. I like being in that kind of a space, but it's not really good for my health. Yeah. And I recognise it. All of Zoe's links.
I have just literally put the website link in the chat because, as I was saying to Wendy, everything's on the website. It's under resources. You can go and take a look at all the different things. But equally, I was going to say, Amanda, they are on the event anyway, aren't they?
They are, and they're on the Northern College of Clinical Hypnotherapy. They're on our business building page, which is in the student resources section of the website. I'll reshare it on the next Monday motivation, so you can all have a look, but it's all there. And some of Zoe's videos that I thought were really, really good are on there as well. But all of her links and the quiz that she was talking about, that's on there as well. And you can actually just get in touch with her through that, and I will actually put a copy of this session on there as well, so you can listen again. So inspiring, Zoe. Thank you very much. It's been great. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming, Zoe.
I am still around, Amanda, as you know, more than happy. My passion is supporting you guys to be successful. So yeah, so I said to Amanda when we met up that if there's something you want, just ask Amanda, just ask, and she can just get in touch with me and be like, Zoe, can you talk to us about this? Can you help us with this? You know, don't be afraid to ask Amanda for the stuff that you need if you can't find it, and I will help in any way that I can.
Yeah, massive thank yous coming in. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Everyone's going to be checking out your YouTube channel. Thank you for
welcome.
Annette as well. Thanks, guys. Everybody's heading off now. I'm going to hit the stop button on the recording, but massive thank you, Zoe, for coming along and sharing your fantastic wisdom and knowledge so that we can all build it brilliant.